Yeah, that was creepy, Rhonda. You're right.
Oh,
Hello, Snuggle Bear.
Snuggle Bear's on.
Snuggle Bear's in the house.
Here we go. I am. All right, Kev. It's not coming up on my phone. So you're it. Well, hello everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to High5 Live Unscripted. Whatever your inquiring minds want to know, we want to answer. Because it really made sense. You know, we put these together every month thinking that we might know what you want to talk about. And we've done some requests about that. However, we thought, let's just see what everybody wants to talk about and be in the moment, since that is always our plan of action here at High5 Leadership, is to just be in the moment. So we are open for business. What questions do you have? You can come on if you're joined here on the Zoom. You can come on and ask your questions. If you want to type your question in Facebook, we will get it that way. If you want to type it in chat on the Zoom, we'll get it that way. Whatever works for you, that works for us. So we're waiting on our first question. And while we're waiting for that, Kev, you said you had something that you wanted to talk about. You want to just start with that?
Sure. I've been doing a bunch of follow-up calls this week with the folks at Solid Rock Financial Group in beautiful Bismarck, North Dakota.
Woohoo!
Spent a year there one night. And we've been doing a lot of follow-ups from the one day that we did there a couple weeks ago, and talking to them about their 30-day outcomes. And one of the patterns that I've been seeing as I talk to them about their 30-day outcomes is that many of them have been focusing on what they don't want. And so we've been having some conversations around the reticular activating system, that part of our brain that allows in and filters out and distorts and generalizes and deletes the things that we don't need and lets in the things that we do need. And what I was explaining to them is that the RAS, as it is abbreviated, RAS, reticular activating system, the RAS does not recognize negative. It doesn't recognize the word not. And so as an example of that, and again, the purpose of the reticular activating system is to allow in the information that we are looking for. There are billions and billions of bits of information that flow past us at all times. And what we learned a few months ago is that at any given moment, we can only access about 128 bits of information. So the RAS is what lets in those bits of information that need our attention. And the RAS does not acknowledge negative. And as an example of that, I want all of you right now to not think of pink elephants. And of course, all of you are thinking of the pink elephants because the RAS does not recognize the not. Okay, so now whatever you do, don't think of blue trees. And there, once again, you're thinking of blue trees.
So I'm thinking of pink elephants underneath blue trees.
All right, good for you. So you got a story about it. That's awesome. So, so what they were focused on were the things that they didn't want for their 30 days. So their outcome was, for example, to lose 15 pounds or to stop being a certain way. And so what one of the people said, I asked him how his outcome would make him feel. And what he said was that I would feel accomplished so that if I fail, I'll know that I did my very best. And what I taught him was, instead of saying if I fail, so by bringing in the if I fail, he's creating that possibility. So what I taught him was to say, instead of so if I fail, just say so when I succeed, I'll feel like I gave it my all. And so it's really been interesting to me to see how often what we focus on are the things that we don't want. Running from pain, looking to get away from the things that we don't want to happen, as opposed to running to gain, focusing on what we do want. So I've seen it. I would say it's probably been 70, 75% of the people that I talked to over the last week have had that going on. So I thought that'd be something good to talk about.
You know, and I'm just going to add on, because that comes up in, as you said, in almost all of our conversations. And I still find myself sometimes focusing on what I don't want and reframing it to what I do want. And that also shows up in our relationships, right? In terms of the people in our life. And oftentimes the people that are closest to us are the ones that, let me just say, get under our skin sometimes, because we spend so much time with them. and so often we are focused on those little things that might annoy us versus taking the time and even using that little thing that might annoy us as a trigger to now think about the things that we love about that person. And once we do that, we shift our energy, and now we raise the vibration and we get rid of that stuff that doesn't really matter. So all that little stuff that annoys us, why? Is it really important in the big scheme of things as well? The other place, so relationships is an important place. What are you focused on? Are you focused on the positive, or are you focused on the negative? Same in the workplace. Right? What are you catching your employees doing? You're catching them doing things right, or you catch them doing things wrong? And whatever you're looking for, you're going to find it. So always a good one. All right. So I know we had our first question on chat, which we will answer, Ms. Roz. And that is, when are you going to have a teen class? Inquiring minds want to know. So you specifically asked Roz about a teen intensive class. We will have a teen class, and while it didn't, we didn't hit the numbers that we needed to make it a go for this summer. We will have one next summer. There's no doubt about it, because we have so many people that are asking for it. That said, it will not be in the intensive class. It will be a class that is appropriate for teens, that will lay the same foundation. It just will not be the same class, because when they hit that adult age, we want them to be able to come and have that intensive. However, from a family perspective and from what they need going into their school year. So we'll definitely talk about a lot of the same things as setting outcomes, certainly work on self-confidence and all of those things as it relates to that. So it will go on our 2019 calendar, which will be out before too long, and it will be then. So thank you for that question, and I love how many people are asking about that. And just a word about our teen class. We do it for our graduates. Nobody gets to come to our teen class unless they have an adult in their life that is a graduate, has been through this kind of training, because it's so important that once they go through it, they have the support at home as it relates to that. So, look at, we got all sorts of folks in the house here.
Nancy Foster sending you love, Nancy, and vibrations. Dakota Sky from Pohanka, Jerry Long, and Clapbridge.
All right, guys. So we need some questions, and clearly I can talk and Kevin can talk forever, but we'd love to answer some questions. And while we're waiting for those, unless we've gotten any more, I am going to talk about something. So I always love to talk about what's on my mind and things that are going on in my life. And the thing, and I did a Facebook Live maybe last week, this week, I don't remember. And it was all about the relationship that we have with ourselves. So one of the things that High5 leadership is the foundation of what we do is on building high performance teams. And we talk about that we have a T3 foundation, which is trust, transparency, and team. And we know that the first relationship, trusting relationship we need to work on, is the one with ourselves. And what I noticed for myself, so this is a moment of vulnerability for me, is how often I still make commitments to myself and break those commitments to myself. And I also know then that tears down the trust that I have with me. And if I can't trust myself, why would I ask anybody else, like my team members, to trust me, right? And so first, it's getting very clear about what am I committed to, and what are those things that are moving me forward in my life that are important to me. I'm also going to make that same call before I make a commitment to one of my team members or anybody else in my life, so that I can be in integrity with that commitment. And I suggest making small commitments to yourself and keeping those commitments every single day so that you can build that trusting relationship with yourself. Because I know even with some of the things that I've been doing, even in the last couple of weeks, I've recognized how good I feel about my relationship with myself just from keeping those commitments. And so for those of you that are graduates, we talk about writing down our outcomes and writing down what our commitments are for the day. And so just doing that and staying focused on it. The other thing that I want to talk about as it relates to that, and something that we say extensively in our classes, and I believe in my heart, is there are times we fall down, right? Things happen and we fall down. And we always say, be kind to yourself. There is never a good reason to beat yourself up. If you fall down, get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. We're never going to say beat yourself up because you did that. What did you learn, right? There's always a positive from that. I do want to say, though, that it's not okay to use the be kind to yourself as I can get off the hook. Oh, I'm not going to keep my commitment because I can be kind to myself. And so there I go, right? You know the difference. So it's also about being honest with yourself. And if you need to have a little conversation with yourself, it's like, that one real cool, Barb, then it's okay to have that conversation, not from a beat up perspective, from an awareness perspective. And you know what? That didn't feel good. Tomorrow I begin again, and I'm going to keep the commitment to myself. But the work has to start here. It has to, because if we don't trust ourselves, we are not going to we're not going to be able to build the trusting relationships with others that then create the high performance teams that we all want to be on, both at work and at home. So that's just been on my mind. And so start with some small commitments and really watch the commitments that come out of your mouth or even in your head, the stories that you're telling yourself, and make sure that when you say you're committed to something, that you really are committed to it. You will play at a different level when you do that. Our word, it's what we own. So we need to take it. Yep.
Yeah, so we got a couple questions. So good stuff, Barb, obviously. A couple questions. And one of them is, Leslie says, any big learnings that you had this week? Or what big learnings have you had this week? So I'm going to share a couple there. And then Mr. Whirling asks, he says, I do a great job with my focus and outcomes. I also do struggle with getting my coworkers on board and their can-do thinking.
Okay.
So, so to Leslie's question, big learnings. The big learnings that I had this week are a couple. Yesterday, I had two people reach out to me, two graduates reach out to me that were struggling in different ways in personal and professional relationships. And they reached out to me. And I was thrilled that they did that because that's what we're here for. They had the courage to raise their hand and say, I need some help. And it actually happened with a couple of other people as well this week that, they found themselves down and in a low vibration, and they had the courage to get vulnerable and say, I need some help. I need your perspective. I need you to help me see what I can't see. And so that was a big aha for me, that, we're all in this together. And when we say we're on your team, that doesn't end on Sunday afternoon at graduation. We're on your team. You've got our cell phone numbers, you've got email, you've got Facebook Messenger. If you can't find us, you're not working very hard at it.
You're not looking.
We are findable for sure. So, and I'll tell you this too, that in my own life, so you were talking about, Barb, being vulnerable and not trusting yourself sometimes. What I find is that sometimes I don't ask for help, and I'm stuck, and I get, my ego gets in the way, or I want to just fix it myself or solve it myself, when all I have to do is just raise my hand and say I need some help, knowing that I've got people there that have my back. And when they give me feedback, it's just feedback. It's not about judgment. They're not criticizing me. So again, self-awareness. I look out and I see, and what I see is a reflection back on what are the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And we say this all the time. It's about progress, not perfection. None of us are perfect. We do this for a living, and we're practicing it every single day. We fall down, and we get reminded to be kind to ourselves. I'm reminded to be kind to myself periodically, and we get back up and we go for it again. But it's so important that, again, you're right. It starts here. It starts with us, and we got to do the work.
I go first, right? Yeah, I go first. Thank you, Kev. And I love that. And I've got to finish this question, then we can move on, in terms of something that I learned. I will share today. So I have Dr. Matt, if there's anybody on the call that knows Dr. Matt, and he is a practitioner that I go see weekly if I'm in town, and he helps me align my energy amongst a lot of other things. And as a result of that, I keep my energy systems open. And so in an entrainment today with him, and it's all great, and I'm feeling good and all of that, and I'm thinking I'm done, and he comes back and he says to me, he says, what is it, and he said nutrient. What nutrient does your body, heart, soul, mind, I think it was some kind of those kinds of things, need to blossom? I remember his words, but that was like the idea, right? And so I trust myself in this. And the first thing that popped in my head, I was like, no, that's not it. I was like, stop. And what came up for me was love. And I was like, well, that's interesting, Matt. And he kind of just chuckled a little bit. And I said, well, on my journal this morning, what I put for my attitude today is I am loving. And he said, that's great. And he said, but this isn't about you giving love. This is about you being willing to receive it. And I was like, whoosh. And, I have so many, like you, Kev, raising your hand, right? I have so many amazing people in my life and that want to give me love. And I'm super focused on giving everybody else love, that I don't always recognize it and receive it, the help that I needed. So talk about a big, look in the mirror today. That was a really, really good one. And what I will share on that I know and get to relearn again, is that the willingness to receive is critical in order to be able to give. And receiving that is a gift to the giver, right? People want to have their gift received. So are you willing to receive other people's love and actually take it in? So, wow, I didn't realize this is truly unscripted. Ooh.
Adam says sometimes we just need to receive that hug.
We do, and I did get a hug at the end of my entrainment. So, yay. I see you back there, Dominic. Cool. All right. So what's next?
Mr. Whirling's question about getting his coworkers on board, and then Mr. Oaxaca's wife has a comment there.
Yeah, I saw her comment.
Rhonda says, learning that I go first doesn't mean taking everything on myself or owning every issue. That I go first can be shown by growing my team.
Oh, huge. Yeah, that was a good one for me too. All right, we'll come back to that one because I love jamming on that. Let's talk about Chris's job or comment with his coworkers and getting them on board. Yeah, Chris, you've done so much work on yourself, and so you know a whole lot of things that others don't know, right? So first thing is there some way, and I'm not sure with coworkers if these are people that report to you or people that you are working side by side with, and it really doesn't matter in the fact that they just haven't had the experience, right? So the first thing is there anything else that you can do to share your knowledge? So one of the things that we say a lot is knowledge is only powerful when it's applied. And for me, the piece of that that's missing is then it's multiplied when it's shared, because the more that we share that. So are there some things, and I know you're not going to sit down and do a class with them necessarily, but are there some tidbits that you can share, even just in passing conversation, to start to get them to track with you on these things? And so that was my first thought that came in around that. And then helping them, if somebody comes with a negative attitude or says something's not going to work, because you talked about a can-do attitude, is just having a conversation with them, and rather than telling them, and I'm not saying that you would do this, but rather than telling them what to do, having them asking the questions to get them to reframe it for themselves. So for example, somebody comes and, okay, it's like, I can't do this, this, and this. Just saying, oh, okay, well, what can you do right now? And just see what they're willing to own, because there are a lot of people that until you start to really push, transfer is a better word, transfer that responsibility, they're just looking to you to give them the answer, and that way they always have somebody else to blame. One of my favorite conversations as well, right? Looking for the next person to blame. And however, the more questions that we ask that transfers that responsibility to them, they now are focused on what they can do, not what they can't do. So it goes right back to our original conversation. The other thing, Chris, just show up consistent. Show up consistently, you bringing the enthusiasm, bringing the positive attitude, because it rubs off and it makes a difference. So let me know if that was helpful and addressed any of what you got going on, Chris, or if you got a further question. But Kev, you got anything to add to that?
The only thing I would add to that is be the role model. Basically said that, role model. So you stay focused on outcome, you bring enthusiasm, you bring positive energy, and the biggest energy will generally prevail. So if it's a negativity thing where the environment is negative, then you have to you can choose to bring the bigger energy, the bigger positive energy, and it will prevail. Otherwise, if you succumb to the negative, if the negative energy is greater, then there's a chance that you will succumb to that. So, but be the role model, and I know you always are, Chris. So that's the only thing I would add.
And it's a great opportunity to remind people anytime that you ask yourself WTF, stop and ask yourself WTO, what's the outcome? And how can I change my approach to get to the outcome? Because if the approach that you're using isn't working, silly to keep doing it. and keep changing it. So yeah, every time for me, that's just becomes such an anchor. When I say to myself, WTF, and I use all the words, absolutely. I'm like, ooh, wait a minute. What's my outcome? And it shifts. And honestly, it just shifts my energy immediately, because I'm going from I'm not in control moment to I'm taking responsibility and I'm in control of how I show up in this moment. And it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. All right, so let's talk about Rhonda's. Yes, girlfriend. So Kevin wrote it once, but learning that I go first doesn't mean taking everything on myself or owning every issue. And absolutely, it's being the role model for owning your issues, right? But you don't have to own everybody else's stuff. And the best part of that is when you build that trust that I talked about earlier in yourself, then now we expand that out, right? And people, Dominic and I were having this conversation earlier, people want to be responsible. And oftentimes as managers, we don't always give people responsibility because we're afraid, right? We have stories about, well, we're the only ones that can do it, or we can do it better. And then we keep doing it. I mean, the bottom line is, right, we keep doing it. And what are the opportunities to let people step up? So when people get sick and are out of the office or something happens, I actually always celebrate that a little bit, because it gives you an opportunity to see how good of a job you're doing in growing your team. And one of two things is going to happen. One is you're going to see that you are a complete micromanager and everything falls apart without you, which is a really big, connection to say, I need to do something different. So the gift in that, right? Anytime negative shows up, positive is available. The gift is that I get to make some different choices. However, what I find is that quite often people step up. And sometimes, even though I haven't done a good job, they still step up. And then I'm like, well, holy crap, if they can step up now, they can have it. Yay, you did awesome, and now it's yours. I love that. Or you can just celebrate that people got your back. And you can go fishing more often, or whatever it is that you love to do. And yes, Rhonda, thank you for that comment, because I go first says I accept responsibility, and some of that responsibility is to grow the people around me. Absolutely. All right, who else? Oh, thank you, Chris Whirling. Thank you for that. All right, we need some more questions, guys. Would love to know if you are finding this helpful as well. We got quite a few people joining us. So first off, thank you all for being here. I'm almost thinking this is my favorite kind of format. So in the moment. Awesome.
Raising your hand.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question on here, or would you rather?
Yes, no, that's perfect.
So one of the things, I started typing it and I thought it was going to be just too long to try to explain. One of the things I identified over the last few days, over the last week or so, is I would head into the office, and a lot of my conversation with the people around me started off by my telling them how busy I was. I'm very, very busy today. I have so much stuff I have to get through today. I'm going to close my door today. It all revolved around how very, very busy everything was. And I noticed I was saying it a lot, and I was saying it in a way that I was assuming by body language that they're looking at me like this is an excuse for why you're not going to talk to me today. So that was why I first caught it. But even more than that, I felt like I was getting less productive the more I was talking about how busy I was. I felt like I would walk into rooms and forget why I walked in there. I'd walk out, I'd forget what I was supposed to do. I felt like I was getting more behind. So sometimes, and this was something like I said, I just recently noticed, sometimes I feel as though I need to stop and reframe something that on its appearance doesn't necessarily seem negative. It's just, in my mind, it's a factual thing. Only it has the effect of I'm focusing on how busy I am, and then maybe I'm not focusing on how productive I want to be. Somewhere I'm just off, and I didn't necessarily see it as much as I saw right away when I was focusing on what I didn't want to have happen, right? I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. And then I was being drawn to that. That was easier for me to identify. But recently, like these factual things, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, I'm so tired. It seems like a factual statement that's actually making me more tired. So I feel like I'm reframing stuff that isn't necessarily negative sometimes.
Yeah, well, and that's because you haven't seen it as negative. And it's, oh, I love this, Ross. Thank you so much. Busy is negative because the story that we're telling ourselves about being busy is that we don't have time for all this other stuff, right? And if I'm telling myself the story that I'm really busy and I'm not going to get everything done and I've got blah, 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 you're just adding stress to yourself, right? Versus, all right, so what are the three things that I'm going to focus on today? And just stay focused again on what you want to accomplish versus having the story be I'm so busy. So think about walking into the office and how different it would be with just having a conversation with those folks. It's like, oh my gosh, I am so excited about today. I have these 3 things that I want to accomplish, and even saying what they are. And if you say what they are, somebody might be like, oh, can I help you with that? Right? Who knows what you're going to get from it, but you're at least creating a new possibility that is completely different. So the busy is saying, and it really is putting up that wall. So I'm glad you saw that wall that says, I don't have time for you, which says everything else is more important than you, versus what we were just talking about with Rhonda, which is, wow, maybe these people are here as resources to help me so that we all get out of here on time and we work together and we have synergy and all of that. I'm too tired, or I'm really tired. While you may be tired, depending on what that is. So if you say I'm tired and you go to bed, then that's a good, right? I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to take care of that. But if you are tired at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you still got a whole lot of stuff to do, having the conversation, I am so tired, is never going to benefit you. And so again, it's like, okay, well, I'm tired, but you know what? This is what I'm focused on. So you're just shifting your focus, but spending any time in those stories, no benefit. So the question that I would have you ask yourself when you recognize those stories is, does this story benefit me? That's it. And if it doesn't benefit you, then my coaching would be to stop telling yourself that story, and then always look at what else is possible, right? How else can I frame this? So I love where you're at is so perfect. Is let me reframe. So you started with the stuff that was like so obvious, right? And now you're getting into the stuff that now it's like, oh, I get it. So sweet. Yeah, love that. Anything to add, Mr. Pink? Awesome.
So we've got a couple of questions on Facebook. First one, Nancy asked, when is the Fall Evolve class? It is October 20th and 21st in beautiful San Diego, California. We are accepting registrations now. Lines are open. Operators are waiting, standing by.
Yeah.
So October 20th and 21st. Don and Roz will be there. So, yep. Want to be classmates, teammates with Don and Roz, then get your butts in those seats. And then he asked a question about meditation. Any tips like meditation? It's new for her, and she's loving it. Not a pro yet. Well, I'm not a pro yet either. I've only been doing it for about 7 years, and I'm still not a pro at it. But Cindy, so first of all, welcome, Snuggly Bear. We're glad to see you here. She's the MVP of class 1802. And yes, Christmas Whirling says, the phone lines are busy. Keep calling. We're adding operators as we speak. The meditation. So there's apps out there. The app that I use, that Michelle and I use, is called Headspace. I think it's $60 a year, something like that. Mr. Mike Schmidt actually introduced me to that years ago. Mr. Mike Schmidt was on the line here a little while ago. Welcome, Mike, if you're still here. And hey, Matt, High5 needs you in our lives too, brother. Glad you're here. So if you want some help with guided meditation, Headspace is a good one. There's another one out there called Calm. And all of these apps have like 10 free meditations, 10-minute meditations, and then you pay if you want to continue. But I like Headspace. But it really, once you learn what it really is just about breathing and focusing on breath. A very simple meditation that I was taught that you can use once you get comfortable with it. I mean, sometimes I like a guided meditation. And if you just Google guided meditation, there's probably 8 billion YouTubes out there that will do guided meditation for you. But the one self-guided that I was taught that I like very much is broken up into 3 parts. And you can do it for as long or as short as you want. You spend a third of your time on each of the 3 parts. The first one is simply breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. That's really all meditation is focusing, getting very specifically focused to quiet the mind. So simply spend a few moments breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, just focusing on the breath. The next part that, it's so weird having all these devices that are activated by certain words and people start talking. I'm like, I don't know who that is. It's talking to me. The second part is a focus on gratitude. So we've taught you in our class about gratitude, that gratitude in Barb's phrase is gratitude is the elevator to joy. The express
elevator. Get it right. Get it right.
Elevator. So ready to move forward in my meditation, I just, instead of focusing on my breath, as I breathe in the person's name. So I think of a person that I'm grateful for. And then when I breathe out, I picture their face. And I choose to use people instead of things because I've yet to run out of people in my life that I'm grateful for. And then the other thing I like to do is after my meditation, I like to go actually tell those people that I thought of that I'm grateful for them. That will set your day up right and theirs. And then the third part is our mantra. Right? So what is it that thing? So in our journal, what's your focus for the day? So Barb mentioned that today she was loving, right? So the third part is mantra. I breathe in, I am, I think I am. And as I breathe out, whatever those positive attributes that I want to focus on for that day, that's what I breathe out. So I'll breathe in, I am courageous. I am self-confident. I am grateful. I am trusting. Whatever it is, and they don't have to change. It can be just the same one over and over and over if you want. But the whole point of meditation, again, is to get so focused that what you're doing is you're actually calming down the noise in your head. So once you've done the mantra, I am whatever, then the last minute, just be quiet, just be calm. And what you'll find, and just whatever happens. If you hear the birds chirping, great. If you hear whatever you hear, it's fine. But what you'll frequently find is when you learn to do it, you'll truly get to a place of quiet. And it's in that moment when actually the brain starts coming up with all kinds of other great solutions and ideas in that calm. And the other thing that I'll tell you, and I've heard Barb say this too, as she's guided some meditations and as I've done some of the headspace stuff, as thoughts come in, because there will be noises that come in, or you'll have thoughts, you'll be focused, okay, I'm focused on my breathing, and is that a car horn I hear? I think that's a car horn. I hope that's not my car. So as those thoughts happen, just acknowledge them, let them go, be kind to yourself, and get back to focusing on the breathing or the gratitude or the mantra, whatever it is. So there's no right or wrong about it, Cindy. It really is just about taking the time. It doesn't have to be more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a great amount of time. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 2 minutes. It could be 30 seconds. But just take that time to calm down, get calm, get centered, focus on your intention. Michelle just said do it in the shower. That's a great place to do it. And get focused on your intention for what you want for the rest of your day. Open your eyes and go kick some ass.
Yeah. I'm going to just share, that was awesome, Kev. I have recently started using a new mantra that we learned from the book that we're reading in our High5 book club, and it's called the Ultimate Success Mantra. And it's working super well for me. And I use it in my meditation, and I also use it in just every day when I just need to come back, boom, in a flash. And it's simply, I expand with abundance, success, joy, and love, and I invite others around me to do the same. And for me, so I say that, and I actually, I say it like out loud, but not out loud. So I'm saying the words in my meditation, and then I just let it sink in for a couple of breaths. And then I say it again, and I let it sink in. And what I find is, versus all of the other mantras and things that I've done, when I say the word expand, it is just like an opening of my heart. And so everything, and so I would love for y'all to try I just said try. I would love for you all to do this. I know, the world just came to an end. Kevin's fault because he did it in class the other day. Fine, I'll do my funky bullfrog. I would love for you all to test it out, because for me, what I have recognized when I say I expand in abundance, success, joy, and love, and even my body moves forward, my heart moves forward, I open up versus contracting, and the calm and the feeling that comes over me, it's like my whole body is infused with light. So I just wanted to share that because it's really it's been super powerful for me. And the name of the book that we've been reading, and we're almost done with our book club, that I would highly recommend you guys read, it's called The Big Leap. It's by Gay Hendricks. If you didn't get that, there we go. Adam's got one right there. It is a really good book in helping you identify your zone of genius, what you really are here for, what you're really good at, and then giving you tools. And Roz, chapter 6, I think it is, the one that we're going to discuss on Friday morning, is about Einstein time. And the thing about Einstein time, and I'm not going to go into it, you get to read the book. So this is a teaser for you. However, the first thing that we do as it relates to that is we make a commitment that we will never again say, I don't have time for this. Because we make time for what's really important for us, right? And if something is important, we will expand time to make it all fit. So anyway, teaser for you. You need to read that book. That'd be a great one for both of you. Well, awesome. Any last questions? Very good book. Awesome. Well, cool. I want to leave them wanting more, Kev. So I think let's just call it done. And thank you all for joining us. Super appreciate it. And if you like this format, I would love to know, because this is something we certainly can do. If you have ideas for other High5 Lives, that's great too. What is it that we can do to bring more value to you? And that's exactly what we want to bring. And would love to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll ask my Kevin question. how much value did you get out of tonight? And if it's not a 10, just drop us a note and let us know what we can do to make it a 10 so that we are bringing the most value that we can to you, because we absolutely love hanging out with you guys. This is fun for us. And if we do this again, you just get what's on our mind and whatever is pressing for you. And I just want to thank those of you who didn't play Stump the Trainer tonight with any like super hard questions. So I appreciate that.
So before you go, of course, you would be remiss not to do your bullfrog for your T word.
ATT.
Y'all are, wow. Talk about a team that's got your back, huh?
Got your back, BMO.
A-T-T-T-I-T-U. Oh, I didn't spell the wrong shit.
We'll edit that out, don't worry. Yay! Conrad, you were...
Dominic will be coming home tonight, Rhonda, because... yeah, there we go. All right.
We love you.
Mwah. All right. I love you all. Have a great night. Send us a message about what we can do to add more for you. And until then, you know what to do. It's called Choose Joy. Bye.
Choose joy. Bye.